When it comes to mature bucks, I really don't know a better way to kill them than in the bedding area. In this part of the world, with our hunting pressure,
Is there any commonalities in the different habitat types you've hunted down here in Southwest Mississippi that seems to be semi-consistent for mature buck bedding?
if I can find switch cane on the side of a ridge in a scenario where the thermals are bringing the scent to him properly, bucks tend to love switch cane in our area. I've had a lot of I love switch cane. Now it sometimes it grows in places it's not conducive to bedding behavior. Very often a mature buck likes some sort of slope to be on if he has it. Now, if you get down around the Mississippi River in the deltas where it's just, an ant hill is the biggest ground, then you have a totally different scenario. And, like down on the Mississippi River, you have the big Cuckleburr flats. And that is one of my kryptonites. I have I have tried hunting that, and I've killed one very nice deer in what I call the Cuckleburr thickets. But you got 200 acres of Cuckleburrs. Where's the bedding area in that? For the way I hunt, it's difficult. So the terrain varies greatly, and you have to figure out how you can't always hunt bedding areas. If there's certain types of terrain that just aren't conducive to it. And the biggest problem is there's a lot of places like the Cuckleburr thickets. How do you determine what the bedding area is? If you've got a 60-acre cutover that's all thick and grown up, how do you determine the exact bedding area? You're just not going to, more than likely. When it comes to mature bucks, I really don't know a better way to kill them than in the bedding area. In this part of the world, with our hunting pressure, you can hunt scrapes. I've killed one deer in my life over a scrape, and that was a kind of an odd circumstance. If you sit on food plots in this part of the world during the rut, occasionally you might have some nice bucks come out right at dark chasing a doe, or maybe before dark. It happens, but it don't happen a lot. If you're going to regularly kill deer in the 5, 6 year old age group, I don't know any better way to do it than the bedding area. Now the trouble with that is there's so many ways you can go wrong with that. And if you take me to where y'all live in Alabama, put a bow in my hand, I'm not going to go find a bedding area and kill a 6-year-old buck right off the bat. I'm going to have to learn that area. So if you're somebody that you're working, you have 2 weeks to hunt, maybe you have a week to hunt, and you're going somewhere you don't know the land intently, hunting bedding areas could well be a very frustrating experience. You need time. You need to know the area. If I only had a few days to hunt, I don't think that's how I would choose to spend it. I think I would probably try to find feed tree. I would try another technique other than the bedding area the bedding area approach that I use, because I know a lot of people that have tried it, and it's a pretty tough game if you get something wrong. You have to. Every piece of land is different, and you have to hunt every piece different. The secret to woodsmanship is being able to figure it out on your land. And I don't think there's a book you can read. I don't think there's anybody you can listen to. I mean, you can get pointers and tips. There is no replacement for time in the woods. I mean, it's just all there is to it. And if you don't love doing it, I'll next week when that front comes in and I grab my bow and I hit them woods, I'm going to be just as excited as I can be, and I want to get a deer. I'm hunting. I want that deer. But I'm going to be happy as a clam either way. and I'm going to hunt. That'll keep you in the woods. The enthusiasm and just loving being in the woods, learning. Now, I'm not saying just walk out there and be giggling and acting a fool. I'm talking about you have to embrace the fact that you're usually not going to get a deer. Everything in this era has become so, man, if I don't get a 150, it's a bad year. If it's so goal oriented. The first goal for your hunting should be to put a smile on your face. And if you get too goal oriented and put too much demand on yourself, I think that causes a lot of people, because I see guys, they're like, well, the wind's wrong. I ain't hunting today. A lot of guys stay home in blustery, windy weather. Give me spatter and rain, 40, 50 mile an hour winds, spatter and snow, whatever. I'm out there, buddy. That's some of my favorite stuff. It's a totally different kind of hunting. You can get away with murder. And I love me some. The deer don't, in that weather, the deer doesn't somehow vaporize and go to Mars. He's still there. His behavior's going to change. It may not be a good day to sit watching a food plot. That deer is out there. He can't hear you as well. He can't smell you as well. He can't see you as well. Now, the same is true of him, but it gives you, you're never going to be the woodsman the deer is. It gives you a leg up. And on those bad days like that, I'm going to be in them thickets, and I'm going to be in that. I'll go in the bedding area after him. So you're never going to get the deer if you don't play the game. And the more you play the game, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, like I told you earlier, we've interviewed, we're in the 600s now of podcast episodes. And that's a lot of guys that we've talked to about deer hunting. And there's very few things that all of them have in common as far as like the true, big buck killers, the really good hunters. There's not very many things that they have in common, but one thing that they do pretty much all have in common is that tenacity and the drive to go out there no matter what and just stay at it. And that's a follow-up question I wanted to ask you about that is, you just mentioned earlier that, a lot of people don't do it the way that you do it. And a lot of good hunters who don't do it the way that you do it. But of all those good hunters that what are the consistent, characteristics, personality traits between all of them?
Well, one I'm thinking of, he hunts only with a bow, and he's really good at figuring out trails, and he usually kills most of his better deer somewhere between the bed. He's not like me. He doesn't like the bedding area and thinks I'm a nut for going in the bedding areas. We pick at each other. If we're nice to each other, we're mad at each other. But he's very good at figuring out. He ambushes them near food sources, but before they get there. He's not in the food source. He's back off the food source. And he's figured out a way to do that, and he regularly kills nice bucks. And then I know another guy that hunts those big Cucklebur flats, that does that kind of stuff, and he's a bow. I'm kind of keeping this with bow hunters, because let's be honest. Let's be real honest here. Hunting with a bow, and I'm not going to separate compound from traditional. They're close enough. Hunting with a rifle is a very different game. Now, I'm all for it. Certainly not casting shade on it, but it's a different. It's so different that the same things that work with this don't work with the other. If I was going to go rifle hunting again, I wouldn't hunt anything like I do with a bow. So I'm going to stick with bow hunting. This guy, he is very good at taking those big thickets where there's no way to find a bedding area, and he will go in there and he'll manipulate that thicket. He'll go in there and he'll make him a shooting lane. And He'll plant a food plot there, and he'll plant what I call, he actually doesn't plant it. He called a woods plot. He'll just open up a place in a thicket where he can see a little bit. And he's a master at manipulating the terrain in those situations to where he gets a shot. Now, I do some of that. I'll put a hinge cut on them. I'll try to change their movement. I really like that part too. But he doesn't really worry about a bedding area. He just wants to find somewhere that they're comfortable and make him a place to set up. Now, I will say, you ask about a trait in common. Both of these gentlemen, which I'm not going to mention their name because they're kind of private people, they probably wouldn't care, but I'm not going to do it without their permission. Both of these guys, if there's a trait that all three of us share, is we're very concerned about wind, very concerned about scent, and very concerned about entry and exit. Those are three things that I think you will find run through most of what you would call your big buck hunters, your trophy hunters that have been successful. These two in particular they're fanatical about their entry and exit. I know one of them in particular will take a rake and clear the path to his stand. I do things like that. When I'm hunting a stand, I will often do whatever I'm going to do at night. If I'm back when I used to hunt compounds and I did hunt out of trees, I never moved a tree stand during the day. I'd go out there 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I'd move my stands around, take a light. I'd try not to be too stinky. I tried to maintain some odor control because that's just not good. But I didn't even try to be quiet. I'd go out there and do what I had to do, and I just liked doing it at night. I didn't like moving stands during the day. Now, that's not for everybody, and don't go out there and hurt yourself. But I found that to be quite effective for moving stands because part of the problem with compound bow hunters and hunting out of trees, and I've seen it over and over, is guys, they'll have a spot that they want to watch, and they'll show up with their climber, and then they'll beat and bang up the tree, and everything within 1,000 yards knows they're there. I know guys, the rut, he may come on by you later, but that's just not me. I can't deal with that. If I can't get in there quiet and get out quiet, it just physically makes me ill. I just cannot tolerate it. There's a certain fanaticism to it. And noise, especially metallic noise, moving stands and climbing trees, I'm just very, I try to avoid that at all costs.